Today is all about boundaries. How to create boundaries within yourself during the healing process. Okay, if you are, like we said earlier, if you had past hurt earlier this during this healing process, we said if you have any past hurt that you let go of it. Okay, but now how do you prevent that from happening again? Now that you're taking your power back and you're removing all expectations, you create boundaries. And so with boundaries, pretty much anything that has been done to you cannot be done to you again. That's immediate. That's like one of the immediate things that you're gonna really pretty much feel naturally, like, oh, I'm just not going through that anymore. Like, I'm not going through that process again. And you aren't, because you now have those boundaries. And so anything that's been done to you cannot be done again. That's just clear cut. Okay. Now the second thing is boundaries within yourself. During this healing process, make sure that you give yourself the boundaries in order to create good habits. You want to be in the process of creating good habits. You don't want to keep the bad habits during those times that you were struggling, because when you're hurting and you're going through past hurts and all those traumas, you find yourself doing things to cope. You were doing things to cope within that process. Don't go back to that. Reinstate positive habits. We want to focus on what we need to do, like say reading a book, meditating in the night times, setting some intention for the next day. So sitting on the side of your bed and saying, this is how the next day is going to go, and waking up at that specific time so that you can instill that belief and faith into the day, so that you can find some more optimism and happiness into the day, so you could change your perspective about the next day. You know what I'm saying? Also, you want to create boundaries in such where not a lot of people can get in your energy. You know, when you're going through past hurts and past troubles, you want to pretty much go into a hermit mode. You pretty much want to limit all people that are in your circle. It's not because you don't like people or thing. And sometimes the world and the universe forces you to do that. It forces you to put yourself right in this secluded, held, lonely space. I wouldn't say lonely, because it doesn't feel lonely. It's more like a bubble. It puts you in a bubble and ships you out, because you need to be in that bubble, because you need to grow within that time. You need to reflect on the things that has been done to you or the things that you've done to someone. It can go either way. It's yin and yang with that. So honestly, after you've found those type of boundaries within yourself and you created those better habits, you then have to think like about what it is to come. Like, you have to be now manifesting what it is to come. You now have to put more intention into what it is to come. Like, before, you was not putting in as much attention into that. You was just going through with the flow because you were going through a lot and you couldn't control it all. So you were forced to go with the flow. Now that you have your time back and you took your time back and now you're by yourself, you now have to give yourself things in order to build that repertoire back up. You have to go to square one and build back up to where you was at. Yes, it's not the most desirable thing, but if you don't do it, you're just going to be at square one trying to, wear those masks I was talking about, based on your whatever it is or whatever you're trying to fit into. So instantly you want to just cut that out. You want to be like, okay, the new boundaries are to now keep myself at a limit. If somebody shows you something, you now want to keep yourself at a certain limit with that person. If somebody was to wrong you, you want to make sure that you don't let that person re-enter your space. And if they was to re-enter your space, you want to make sure that they have fully changed. You want to make sure that they aren't the same person that you got wronged by. If they're fully willing to change and commit into a reunion and reconciliation, then that is something to consider. But keep your boundaries tight if you know that the person has not changed. Those are the things when it comes to boundaries and habits. And now, how do you move about life knowing these things? Well, how you move about life knowing these things is very easy. You wake up, right? Say you got your mindset on something. Say that you're doing something that most people wouldn't achieve appreciate of. Remember, we was to remove all expectations. So even when people saying those things, it wouldn't affect us. You're now moving more freely. Your mind is more clear, and you have more clarity on what you're supposed to do. Now, what I've been recently bumping into with myself is that I have a lot of clarity on what I need to do, but now it's that uncertainty of what you should do next within the process, right? Because now the process is, okay, now that you have it all figured out mentally, now what is it that you need to do in the 3D or the physical? And now it's like, okay, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. And when you're doing it, you can feel something about to happen, or you can feel like, oh my goodness, I'm finally getting my mental back, or I'm finally healing. And you're now just eager to rush into things. Don't rush into anything. See, growth is steady. Growth is a very steady thing. I said that to come back to your journey. Like, growth is a steady process. If you was to give 1,000% all at once, you're probably gonna burn out because you didn't have 1,000% already. You're starting at zero. Remember, you have been hurt, or something has happened that has changed you. You now are in a rebuilding process. So you have to steadily keep going. Like, this is how it should look. And every little milestone should be celebrated. You should be happy that you're making every little milestone day by day. You should be happy that you're growing day by day. Every day should be a new milestone. You should be doing something different every day. You should be growing every day. And most people find that uncomfortable because they're like, I don't know what to do every day. Well, if you was to meditate and you was to put your mind predicated on praying, or your intention on yourself, you're gonna know what the next thing is. It's not like you're gonna be left high and dry. All you have is you and your thoughts. So limit your distractions. Social media has to go. You have to limit your distractions. YouTube, you limit it. Maybe at nighttime when you've already done everything you were supposed to do during the day. But you have to limit your distractions. How I've been doing it is I've been doing my tasks during the day. I've been doing my tasks during the day. And then towards the end of the day, I'll distract myself. And then I'll rest and wake up and do it again. Sometimes that process may not work for everybody. Sometimes you may just need to fully limit yourself from the distractions. Like, at first, I was fully closed off from distractions. Now that I'm getting a little better during my healing process, it's like I can manage that. But you have to find some type of strength within yourself. And if you're not there yet, don't rush it. Because if you rush it, you'll find yourself back at square one. This is a very fragile and sensitive process, and you have to pay close attention to everything that you do, every step that you take. You have to pay close attention to everything that you are hyper-focused on, because things could go wrong based on decisions that you make. But if you make all divine decisions, then you're always going to pass the test, right? It's all about feeling what it is that you're supposed to do. Like, honestly, you know what the right things is to do. You know what it is to do. You know that this is the thing that I'm supposed to do. You can feel it. At this point in the healing process, you can feel it. If you've done everything leading up to this, you can feel it. Now you're trying to start. And when you're trying to start, you try to take a leap of faith. But once you do and you try something, this is the process of, after you've already tried, you're probably seeing less results than you would expect. Sometimes you're not going to see them all at once. This is not a fairy tale, but sometimes it is. But maybe that will catch you by surprise, because people who have a fairy tale upbringing, they weren't expecting it at all, and neither should you. And so when it comes to that process, you have to now look at yourself and say, damn, well, I'm happy that I'm doing it. I'm happy that I'm getting through it. I'm happy that I'm stepping into myself. I'm happy that I'm becoming somebody new. I'm happy that I'm becoming who I should be. I'm being more authentic. And now that is new in my space. You should be happy for the little wins. You're wearing what you want. You're saying what you want. You're acting how you want. You're doing what you want. It's going to make people uncomfortable. You're going to be in a space where people are going to be like, you just need to know that that is expected. Like, honestly. But you guys know how it is. You in the healing process. Live, love, laugh.